This is a quick demonstration of how to set up the HT8-1 variable speed floor sander. This is an English-made machine, and what's interesting about it is it has 4 brushes instead of 2, and so it gets a lot more out of 110 volt than your standard floor sander you might buy by, let's say, Clark. It also is a variable speed system, and so what it does is that you can run potentially 4 different settings when you're floor sanding, and this is a real sell point from our perspective, because you don't always want to run it at full bore. Sometimes you do want a little less aggressive of a cut, and so having this as an option when you're trying to get a finished smooth surface is quite nice. Level 1 on this thing is 2500 RPMs, 2650, 2800, and 3200 RPMs. Setting up the machine is really easy. Simply insert the handle, tighten this, don't overdo it. Your plug on this is a 3-prong. Most people know the 3rd prong has a slot on it and it's a twist. So you line up the slot with the slot and give it a twist. I have a good Polish friend of mine who can't get slit, slot, and slut figured out. It makes for funny conversations when we're working together. Unwind your cord, and remember, when you're using any of these machines, don't hit the cord with the sander. This is basically an overpowered it's an overpowered sander, and it sands rubber as easily as it does floor. I find the best answer for that is to make sure that you put your cord over your hip, over your shoulder when you're using it. Actually, putting the sander drum on this system is quite easy. You tilt it up, you lift this front piece, there is a clasp arrangement here that releases. The drum just slides on, this easy. This happens to be 100 grit, and the key on this unit is this rubber that you can see moving. That's what makes the sandpaper stick. So actually you can just kind of slide it on till it butts. You'll see that they have an adjustable piece here to make sure it matches. And when you drop this, it's attempting to slam it, but you'll see that this is just a piece of spring steel, and you just need to bend it in to make sure it goes right. And that's the system. We've opted to go ahead and use HT8's bags because I feel the paper bags does a better job at taking the particulate out of the air. They had a fancy system on it that's already been lost, a little hair tie basically, but the simplest way to do this is to simply put it on and tape it.
Now, to figure out the depth ratio in your bag, make sure it's at least 10 inches.
Yeah, meaning that when you go and use this and you fill it to 10 inches, take it off and put another bag on. Don't try to overdo it to be cheap. It starts affecting the ability for this to spit out the particulate, and if it's not spitting out the particulate, it's leaving it on the floor, and it's interfering with how smooth of a finish you're going to get. This particular machine will always come with a manual. What's important on that is on page 5 is a quick suggestion of the various speed settings with coarseness depending on what material you're doing. That's quite handy. It'll also tell you such things as you're doing each pattern, overlap it by 2 inches. It'll tell you if you need to only sand 2/3 of the floor and come back on the other third. It'll tell you to overlap that section by 0.5 meter, 1.5 feet. And it'll tell you to use that section to overlap by feathering in. As you sand out, you lift the machine gently. Other things to remember on this: never push on the machine, never push it down, you'll get a divot. Let the machine do your work for you. It's already weighted and designed for what you need. Of course, make sure you get a dust mask and a set of earplugs on it. We always opt for 3M's 8515 model, because if you've ever worn a dust mask, it's nice to have a little outbreathe valve. Once you're set up and you plug it in, and I'll just demonstrate turning this machine on, you lift it up. When you press the button, it's a nice piece of machinery. It doesn't have an automatic start, it's got a slow start, so you can pick your setting in advance of what you want. Let's pick 4, and then just hold the button and you're up and running. It's kind of cool. On the fly you can drop the speeds. you do lift it up, that you don't have it engaged still. We'll go ahead and run this thing and quickly show it in action next. When I said engage this, what I meant is when you have it winding down, don't put it down. And by that I'm meaning when you turn it off, don't set it down. Let it completely stop and then put it down. It will wear a divot that quickly. That's all.